Good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, May 17th, 2022, and this is the second hearing of the month for the City of Tempe hearing officer. My name is Vanessa McDonald. I am the hearing officer, and I'm going to read just something very brief into the record, and then we can jump into our agenda this afternoon. The City of Tempe hearing officer is authorized by Arizona Revised Statutes and the City of Tempe Zoning and Development Code. The hearing officer has the duty to carry out the provisions and the intent of the Zoning and Development Code and the Tempe City Code. The hearing officer is granted the authority to conduct public hearings to decide upon the abatement of code violations occurring on properties within the City of Tempe. These violations include, but aren't limited to, deteriorated landscaping, inoperable vehicles, deteriorated structures, storage of junk or refuse, or deteriorated swimming pools. Abatement actions are brought before the hearing officer by the city's Code Compliance Division, typically after numerous attempts at contacting the property owner to obtain voluntary compliance with the code. The hearing officer can issue an order directing the owner, occupant, rental agent, property manager, or other responsible person to remediate a code violation or authorize the city to abate the condition. The cost of the abatement is the responsibility of the owner of the property where the violation occurred and may be collected as an assessment against the property found to be in violation. On today's agenda, we have just two items. We have a set of minutes from May 4th, 2022, and we have one property abatement. Any property owner who's aggrieved by a decision of the hearing officer may file an appeal within 14 calendar days after the hearing officer has made a decision. As such, the deadline for appealing any decision rendered today is 3 p.m. on May 31st. The property owner has 14 days to either file an appeal or bring the property into code compliance. And if neither of these things happen by May 31st, 2022, the property will be abated by the city. Joining me this afternoon from Community Development are Cassidy Hernandez and Drew Yoakum. Thank you guys for being here and for setting things up for me. As I mentioned earlier, we have just two items on our agenda. The first one is a set of minutes from May 4th, 2022. Cassidy sent those to me last week, and I had a chance to review them, and I believe they accurately reflect what took place at that hearing. So I'm going to go ahead and approve the minutes from May 4th, 2022. Agenda item number 2 is a request for approval to abate public nuisance items at the Webb property. This property is located at 8630 South Hazelton Lane. The applicant is City of Tempe, represented today by Code Compliance Inspector Julie Schofield. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Julie Schofield, and I am a Code Compliance Inspector with the City of Tempe in the Code Compliance Division. I'm here today to ask for a 180-day open abatement for the property located at 8630 South Hazelton Lane, which is here in Tempe, and the zip code is 85284. This case has been initiated since March 7th of 2022. I've had so far 3 complaints come in for this property, and I have not had any luck communicating with the property owner. On March 7th of 2022, I did receive a complaint for this property regarding the landscape in the front and backyard. When I went to inspect the property, there was indeed grass and weeds and gravel growing throughout the gravel landscape in the front yard and overheight weeds in the backyard. A first notice was mailed to the owner, Mr. Alfred Webb. On March 21st, 2022, I went back to the property and seen that there had been no changes to the property, and a final notice was mailed. Looking at the history of this property, it has been abated several times, and at that time, April 5th, I decided to go ahead and see about getting the property abated once more, as citations have not worked for us in the past.
Yeah, I made a note when I was going through the staff report. We abated it in 2016, again in 2019, and again in 2020.
That is correct,
So-
yes. And so I went ahead and I requested a bid to have the landscaping taken care of. However, on April 13th of 2022, I did receive a complaint for bees at this property. I went to the property and there was indeed some sort of hive in the front yard, which is not visible, so I couldn't directly point out where it was at, but I could hear them and I could see them swarming. So a notice was sent to the owner as well to take care of the bees, but as of this date, they have not been taken care of. And so in the bid, I included the landscaping for front and back and also the bees.
The bee removal.
When I went to this property, the neighbors in the area had came out because they saw me inspecting the property, and they let me know that they were wanting to do like a little get-together for the neighborhood for Easter. So the neighbors actually all pitched in and paid for the front yard landscaping to be taken care of on April 15th. So it was not, in fact, the owner who took care of it, but the surrounding neighbors. So, and you will see in my pictures that I have to show you what it looks like, but the backyard is still in violation. The bees are still there. And like I said, the neighbors took care of the front yard, but I would still like to include that in the abatement if possible.
Sure.
And here's my first photo.
Like that was so kind of the neighbors to do it. I mean, it serves them well, but nevertheless, they paid for it, and it does look good, but it shouldn't be fault to them.
And I'm sure you've seen the photos from when I turned the packet in.
Yes.
At what it did look like.
On April 4th, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm looking at
and
them right now. In the
when I was there today, this was taken today, and my other photos are from today as well. My abatement notice is still on the garage from April 15th, so the notice has not been removed, or the owner hasn't visited the property. I'm not really sure, but it's still there. This is a photo of the walkway to the front door, and as you can see, there is still grass and weeds growing in this area, but the bees are actually
somewhere.
Here's the front door back here. The bees are actually swarming in and out of this area, and so if approved, we'll take care of the bees, and then we'll also cut this down to prevent any further or hopefully future bees from coming in there and whatnot.
Right.
And then we'll also take care of the landscaping. And this is the backyard today. As you can see, overheight grass and weeds growing through the backyard.
Do you have any understanding of the property owner, like what the situation is?
I do not at this time. The neighbors seem to believe that he is deceased, but I don't have any proof of that.
Okay.
So as stated before, I was seeking to get that 180-day open abatement approved for the landscaping in the front and back, as well as the removal of the bees.
The bees. Well, great. Well, thank you very much. Thanks for going out and taking pictures again this morning. Mr. Yoakum, do we have anyone on the line wanting to speak this afternoon?
No, Madam Hearing Officer. We've not received any communication at this time.
Okay, thank you. And we are here in the chamber, and I want to make note of the fact that there's no one here in the chamber beyond city staff, so there's no one here to speak about the item as well. So given the fact we have no opposition to the abatement, and clearly this property is in need of being remediated, so I'm going to go ahead and approve your 180-day open abatement request contained in CE 22-1533. Thank you so much. That concludes our agenda for the afternoon. Mr. Yoakum, when is our next hearing?
Our next hearing officer meeting is scheduled for June 7th at 5 p.m. That will be here in the City of Tempe Council Chambers as well as live on Tempe 11.
Okay, great. Thank you. We're adjourned.